Hello wrestling fans, the Wrestling Wizard here and welcome to another video. And in today's video, we're just going to have a little bit of fun. We're going to make some bold predictions in regards to WrestleMania 40 and the match card. Now I know this is way too early, you're thinking what on earth Wiz, like that is literally next year. I know it is, I'm a kid in a candy store when it comes to WrestleMania, so I thought I'd see how close we get to some of these predictions, even though some of them are completely out there. Now, this is just a match card prediction for night 1 and night 2 from just the men's side. I am going to do a video on the women's division and the women's side of WrestleMania. That'll be completely separate because we don't want to be here forever at a day. Because these WrestleManias, if they keep going at this rate, they're going to be like 3-day WrestleManias. So I've had to be realistic. I haven't been silly and put a billion matches on the card. I've tried to keep it as acceptable as I possibly can, okay? So let's kick things off with my night 1 WrestleMania 40 picks. Now, I'm actually going to go with kicking off the show with Solo Sikoa versus Brock Lesnar, a battle of two absolute beasts. And you might think, how on earth is this going to come by? Solo Sikoa is in the bloodline. It just makes no sense. I think at this point, Solo Sikoa would have pushed his way out of the bloodline. He's going to be standing up on his own 2 feet. And I believe this match will come about due to Paul Heyman trying to get revenge on Solo Sikoa and calling an old client in the Beast Incarnate. And no, I do not believe for one single second that that was a Brock Lesnar face turn we saw post SummerSlam match against Cody Rhodes. I think that was just Brock Lesnar putting over Cody Rhodes. This will be a heel Brock Lesnar versus a transitional face turn for Solo Sikoa. Brock Lesnar putting Solo Sikoa over on the grandest stage of them all. What a match to kick off WrestleMania 40. Now, of course, we got to show some love to the tag team division. And I'm going for a 4-way tag team match between the LWO, the Alpha Academy, Street Profits, newly slickened Street Profits, and DIY. Yes, I believe that Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa will team up again once more and reform DIY. And I actually think it's going to be the LWO who are going to be the champions going into this match. Again, we're thinking in the future, right? And I think this is going to be a heel version of the LWO consisting of Santos Escobar and a returning Carlito. Now, in terms of the victors, I'm actually going for a face Street Profits. I don't feel that Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits at this point even now are really established as heels. They've just got this kind of rougher edge to them. They're slick Rick. They're fantastic in the ring. And of course, we know how Montez Ford can go at it in the ring and Angelo Dawkins. And we don't even need to say any more about Bobby Lashley. We'll come on to him later in the video. But I'm going for a feel-good moment. The Street Profits win and become the new tag team champions. Now, of course, the tag team titles at this stage might be split between Raw and SmackDown versions. But on time of recording this video, that isn't a thing, so I'm showing some love to the tag team division. Next up, I'm going with the megastar in LA Knight versus the social media megastar, you could say, in Logan Paul. This match writes itself. They've already had an interaction in promos previous to this point even now, but I want to use this as a platform to elevate LA Knight to the next level in terms of the mainstream. Getting more exposure, a feud with Logan Paul would be fire. And I know what you're probably thinking. This is a little bit of a mismatch in the ring because Logan Paul is yet to have a match that hasn't been like 5-star or actually even further than 5-star. He's just been putting on clinic after clinic in the ring and smashing it. You might think, well, hang on. Can LA Knight go some in the ring? I think this is his moment. I think this is two contrasting styles that will work really well in the end. I think this match will pay off in a big way. And I actually think at the end of the match, it will be LA Knight victorious. And this will segue nicely into my next segment. Now, I know already we've seen it pay back. John Cena sort of semi-put over LA Knight, but I think he's really going to put over LA Knight here. We're going to have John Cena make his bold entrance, and he's going to put over LA Knight, raise his arm in front of the thousands in attendance, and just go, yep, this is the next guy. This is the start of LA Knight's transition into superstar status. And you might think this is too long to wait. The trajectory that LA Knight is on at the moment is just like rocket-like. But I do think to this point, LA Knight would have already won the US title, to be then cost the US title by Logan Paul, hence setting up the matchup between the two of them. And then I think post WrestleMania, you push LA Knight into the stratosphere and he wins the Money in the Bank later on in the year. That's my pick. What do you think? Now, why I say this segues nicely into the next matchup, because Cena will already be in the ring at this point, okay? He's made his entrance, he's put over LA Knight, etc, etc. He does his usual spill, and then cue Grayson Waller with one of the best themes, arguably, I believe, in WWE. I play it multiple times in my car. It is catchy as heck. I'm always bobbing my head along to it. What a theme from Grayson Waller. Comes out alongside his crony in Austin Theory. Of course, we've already got history here. Grayson Waller and John Cena have already had a promo together, so we've already seen that. And of course, Austin Theory and John Cena had a matchup at WrestleMania of this year on time of recording this video. And we see a beatdown. We see, and this is just fantasy booking scenario going wild, right? They beat down John Cena and there's boos echoing all across the arena. And then you hear that glass shatter. Stone Cold Steve Austin comes to the rescue. And this could set up a match between the two of them, a very short tag team match, Grayson Waller and Austin Theory versus Stone Cold and John Cena. This is just me marking out here massively as a wrestling fan, or just a beatdown and equalizer. And then, of course, Stone Cold does his classic stunners left, right and centre on Waller and Austin Theory. I'd love to see that. Book it now, WWE. And of course, that brings us on to the main event of night one. This might be a predictable one, but I feel like this is the right call. Seth freaking Rollins taking on Gunther for the World Heavyweight title. I believe Gunther is going to win the Royal Rumble. He came second this year. I don't believe that's going to be the case next year. I believe he's going to win the Royal Rumble and go on to face Seth freaking Rollins. Now, I'm not sure on the victor of this. I'd love to, of course, see Gunther go over Seth and become an absolute weapon. And then maybe we see a shake-up at that point with the Seth Rollins character moving forward. A new dynamic with his character. How long, you could ask, is that gimmick going to continue to stay over and fans continuing to sing his entrance theme? It remains to be seen. And of course, Gunther is going to be extremely over here. So is this going to be a subtle transition to ultimately down the line a Gunther face turn? But either way, you can't argue that Gunther doesn't deserve to be on the main stage in the main event of WrestleMania Night 1. So that's WrestleMania Night 1 done and dusted. Let's move on to Night 2. Now, of course, we've got to have a big match to kick off Night 2 of WrestleMania, right? And I'm going with Jimmy Uso versus Jay Uso in a proper tribal combat match. None of this dodgy shenanigans business from SummerSlam of 2023. I want a clean, well, not really clean because it's not really going to be, but what I mean is no interference involved here. And the main Uso wins. The better man wins on the night. I think this could be epic. The fact that the fans will be so into it, being the first match of Night 2. Also, it keeps it as far apart from Roman Reigns' match as well. So you've got it opposite ends of the card. I think that gives away my main event, which is obviously predictable. And in terms of the victor, I would go with Jay, main event Jay Uso, because he's the face, because he's the most over out of the two of them. However, they've done an incredible job at heating up Jimmy Uso, making him a credible heel. But if you told me many years ago that Jimmy and Jay would be in a major match at WrestleMania against one another, I'd never have believed you. I couldn't even tell the difference between the two of them 10 years ago. So what does that say? Oh, this next matchup is juicy. I'm going with, at the time, of course, things change to this point. At the moment, Gunther's the champion. But I believe a Drew McIntyre, a heel Drew McIntyre, is going to take that title from Gunther at some point and take it into WrestleMania and defend that title against none other than Sheamus. Now, this is the fairy tale moment. Sheamus has yet to capture the IC title. It's the only title, main title, that's eluded him. So for Sheamus to get his moment on the grandest stage of them all, beat his friend, ally, sometimes occasionally enemy, and win the gold, win the IC title would be a heartwarming moment And let's face it, we're probably going to be an absolute mess, with tears streaming down our face, left, right and centre. Just how it should be. It's WrestleMania, right? It's supposed to get you emotional. Now I know what you're probably thinking. Where's Judgment Day? They're not on the card. What's going on? Now I actually think at this point, bear in mind it's like 7 months away on time of recording this video, I'm going for a full-out Judgment Day match. I think there's going to be a breakup at some point, and I think we're going to get a matchup between Damian Priest, Finn Balor and Dominic Mysterio. You could even chuck JD McDonough into the frame. Who knows what's going to happen from now until then. I just want to see this match, to be honest. Mainly just to see Dominic Mysterio get the living daylights beaten out of him. And of course Finn and JD and Damian Priest, they can go off on their separate ways. I'd be sceptical as to how Dom would play out without Rhea. Maybe he loses. Rhea's absolutely sickened by it. And then that follows on to a scenario that I've got in the women's side of things, of course in a separate video when we just look at the women's side. But in terms of Victor, you got to go with Damian Priest, right? Now this is where it started to get a bit tricky for me, because I thought you've got to have a card with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens on it, right? But I don't want those two to feud again. It's too predictable. We've seen them in a matchup at WrestleMania 37 against one another, where of course they face Kevin Owens, beat and then heel Sami Zayn. I don't want to see that again. I actually want to see them in a match where they're fighting one another, they're opposition, but it's in a fatal 5-way match for the US title. And the matchup is going to be between Bobby Lashley, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, AJ Styles and Ricochet. And I think this will be a banger of a matchup. I certainly think this will be an absolute spectacular in the ring. And yes, I know there's superstars I'm missing out here along the way, but this is a match card that we've got to be pretty strict with, okay? We can't chuck multiple matches on. Bear in mind, we're probably going to get Miz segments along the way as well. And of course, the likes of Snoop Dogg probably making an appearance and some celebrity from somewhere. It's going to happen. So bearing in mind time constraints as well, I'm going for a US title match, and coming out of the match, I'm going for Bobby Lashley to take the title. So you've got the Street Profits winning the tag team titles, Bobby Lashley winning the US title, and dissension within the ranks with Zayn and Owens. And if you want to play out a feud between the two of them, do it post WrestleMania, where maybe we get the opposite swerve, but it isn't Kevin Owens that turns on Sami Zayn, it's Sami Zayn that turns on Kevin Owens. Whatever floats your boat. So for him to get a big moment at WrestleMania, win a title, even though it's a mid-card, and I know you think there's probably more in the tank for Bobby Lashley, it keeps us reasonably happy. And of course that brings us on to the main event of WrestleMania 40. And I know this is predictable, I know this isn't your first round pick, but let's face it, it's the most likely option. Now there are exceptions, of course. The Rock could come into play, and we could actually get Rock versus Roman at WrestleMania 40, but realistically it's likely to be a rematch from WrestleMania 39 in Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns for the Undisputed Championship. And I believe this is the time and place where Cody gets his moment. I've always said it on this channel all along, especially post WrestleMania 39 and even pre-WrestleMania 39. I didn't believe that Cody Rhodes was going to beat Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 39 with the bloodline around. Of course, Solo Sikoa playing a pivotal role in helping Roman along the way to getting that victory. I believed that it was going to be Cody versus Roman in a rematch, match number 2 at WrestleMania, with no bloodline to help Roman Reigns. I wouldn't even bet against Paul Heyman turning on Roman Reigns. There's going to be some sort of swerve, but ultimately I want it to be kept relatively clean. So it gives Cody Rhodes that feel-good moment, mega moment. Few can argue that Cody Rhodes isn't the face of WWE at the moment. He pretty much is the poster boy of WWE, just the way it should be, because he's played that role so well. He's like the corporate guy, the business guy, who can back it up in the ring, can talk it on the mic, and he's massively over with the fans. So why not? I can totally understand why they would go down that route. Cody Rhodes to close WrestleMania would be poetry in motion as the champion. I know that's going to get some heat. I know that's going to be controversial, but let's be realistic here. It's a likely option. Now, if you don't think it's going to be Cody, who do you think is going to step up and dethrone Roman Reigns? You've got to remember, if they do go down the route of The Rock versus Roman in that mega dream match, it's very unlikely, near on impossible, that The Rock is going to win, so that would just extend Roman Reigns' run with the belts. And you've got a champion who's a part-time champion essentially at this stage, not defending his belt very often. And I don't think that's going to play out very well post WrestleMania. But what do you think? Get down in the comment section, share your men's side of things, WrestleMania match card predictions, and of course we're going to come out with the women's side of things in a separate video and give our bold predictions there. Thank you so much for watching the video. It'd be very much appreciated if you could like the video, share the video, and even better, subscribe if you're new. We'll catch you in the next one.